Hello my friends. It is with great irony today that I am coming to you with a video about how much it sucks to be in a van during winter on this beautiful sunny day in Perth. It is a welcome change today, and it's gotten so warm I'm actually considering going in for a swim because the water looks so clear. But the last couple of weeks have been quite rainy and really cold, and I just thought it'd be good to touch on why I feel I just don't want to be in a van during winter and why I tend to follow the sun, because I didn't really fit my van out for the purpose of winter, so I am suffering a little bit. I am stuck in Perth at the moment because when I had my roof pod installed, it has leaked ever since I had it installed. There's been 4 attempts to repair, and I'm going back for my 5th attempt to repair next week. So I think regardless of the outcome of that, I'm going to have to head north because it's not enjoyable being here during winter in the van. So yes, anyway, I'm going to take you through a few things of why it does suck to be in a van during winter. So obviously the reason I love van life so much is because I can constantly be in the outdoors. So when I say that, I mean even if I'm sitting in my van, I can have my doors open and I can have the sun coming through the windows, I can have the breeze come through, I can smell the ocean, I can hear the birds. So even if I'm stuck at my desk working away, I'm still outdoors. I'm not stuck in a cubicle in an office with grey walls and air conditioning. So that's one of the massive reasons I love this lifestyle. And when it's winter, it's a lot harder to experience that because you've got to have your doors closed, obviously because of the rain or the cold, the wind. It just doesn't make it very enjoyable. It can feel quite boxed in after a few days. So sometimes I don't mind a day or two of a bit of rain because it can feel a little bit cozy in the van. But yeah, after a few days, you start to go a little bit stir crazy. I am a very active person. I love to be out snorkeling. I love to go hiking. I love to walk and run and do my yoga outdoors. And so when it's wet, when the ground's wet, when it's cold, it just makes it harder and more uncomfortable. I find that I'm wasting a couple of hours in the mornings because it's too cold to get out of bed. So I'm just sitting there scrolling on my phone until I can feel that it's warm enough to get out of bed. Even my floor, I'll stand on the floor in the morning and it's just so cold on my feet. So yeah, I find that that's one big reason why it's just quite not as enjoyable for me during winter in the van. It can be quite a challenge to manage your power storage as well during winter. So I do have a solar panel, but I can also charge my house battery from my starter battery while I'm driving. But the solar really does keep me topped up, and during winter you obviously don't get as much sun. Disregard today. And so it just means you've got to manage your power level a lot more. So it might mean that I might not be able to cook a meal that day because I don't have enough power to do that, so I have to eat out instead, or it means I've got to drive the vehicle more to keep that battery topped up, and that's really frustrating. It can be costly. And it means you've just got to keep moving the vehicle a lot more during winter. So I am finding that quite frustrating. It's much better having a larger battery source. So I went from 100 amp hour to 200 amp hour. So I'm not having as much of a problem with that this year. But yeah, it's definitely something to think about as well during winter. So when I did my van fit out, originally I hadn't really done too much to the interior. I hadn't insulated her at all. And the first winter I was in the van, I did a house sit. And that wasn't enjoyable because I was still cooped up all day inside. So really my idea after that was I just want to follow the sun. So the next 2 winters I was over east, and so I planned that, and I was going to be up north in Queensland, and that was awesome. So I've never had any problem with mold or condensation or anything like that. It is just me in the van, so I'm not generating a lot of heat in the van. But spending winter up north in Queensland was amazing. I really didn't suffer at all, and I never had any issues that I had to deal with the cold or anything like that. However, this year, obviously, because I am stuck in Perth, I am finding that even though I've done a bit of insulation in my recent renovation, so I've put some wool insulation in the top of the pod, in these sections here, I've got cork here which can be insulating, and that's been pretty good, but I am still finding I'm getting a bit of condensation. So my skylight in particular, I don't have a cover on that skylight. So some mornings I've woken up and there's just all water condensation dripping from around the edge of the skylight. There is insulation in my window covers, so I don't suffer too much with condensation in the windows, a little bit. And then I find that the back door as well, I get a bit of condensation along the top of there too. A bit less this year, I think, because I've got extra curtains in there now. But it's definitely, I think that now that I've been here during winter and I'm in the van, I'm really finding that I can see why people get mold issues, because that is a bit of a problem. So yeah, I definitely haven't fit out the van with winter in mind. Yeah, it's quite uncomfortable. The floors are cold in the morning. The metal just conducts the cold so much. So it is like sleeping in a fridge. When I originally tried van life, I was actually in Canada, and this was 2018, I think, 17, somewhere around there. And when I went there, we didn't insulate the van at all. It was during spring, but even though it was spring in Canada, it was so unbearable. So if you are going to be in winter living in your van, it's definitely worth really thinking about insulation, even floor heating or floor insulation, because yeah, it will make your life so much more comfortable. And as I mentioned earlier, I do love to swim and I love to hike. And so some of the other problems I'm finding at the moment, if it is actually warm enough for me to go for a swim, it's taking a lot longer for things to dry. So I have gone out in my wettie to do a bit of a snorkel, but then it's taking forever for my wetsuit to dry. And then another thing, I've been hiking, and I've had a week or two ago, I was down south and I just needed to get out of the van, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go for a hike. And I was about, 15 minutes in, and then it started to rain a little bit. And I thought, oh, that's fine, I'll just walk in the rain, it's no problem. It was only like a light sprinkle. And then out of nowhere, it just bucketed down, so bad. And I was like, oh well. And so I thought, I'm wet anyway, I'm going to be so wet by the time I get back to the van, I'm just going to enjoy it. So I was in the middle of the bush and I was just dancing in the rain and getting soaked, and it was amazing. However, when I got back to the van, it took forever for my stuff to dry. I was wearing quite a warm, heavy jacket, and I just had, I had no choice but to hang all my clothing on the inside of the van. And so it just drips, and then, it's getting the floor wet and it just takes forever to dry. So that's another problem for me in the van. So those are some of the downsides to van life during winter. Not every day is going to be as perfect as today. And I know it's not economically viable for everyone to just, pack up the van and head north during winter. So you really need to have a think about how you're going to manage some of those issues that you might come across that I've just gone through. For me, it's definitely the way I want to live my life. I've done this for a few years now, and I just find that following the sun is what brings me more joy, because that's what I love to experience, all the sun and the warmth and the being outdoors. So I hope that some of these tips have been helpful for you when you're thinking about it. If you are going to do it during winter, just make sure you do think about insulation. Think about your mental health as well, because, you're stuck in a van and you're cooped up. It can be a little bit draining emotionally, because you tend to be a little bit more cut off from people as well. So yeah, you've just got to really make more of a conscious effort to try and get out of the van and talk to people and take advantage when you do have beautiful days like this.
I've been navy blue, been somebody's fool, but all I remember now is being with you. Light up every room like a super bloom. You put me together when I was broken too. Fireworks in the dark, superstar, you're all I wanna see. Oh, I just believe how much you got my heart. You are a shooting star. Some things make sense to me, but I still can't